Hi, my name is Julie Pitra. I'm a realtor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as well as a real estate investor. And I've been asked to talk about a house that I did not get this week that I was trying to purchase through a wholesaler. So what a wholesaler is someone that goes to the seller, gets it under contract, and then either sells that contract by assigning their rights to that under that contract for a fee, or they will close on it and then close again, which is called a double close with another party. So one is called an assignment of contract, the other is a double close, and it's clean, but it has its own problems. It's more expensive. I won't discuss that right now, maybe another email. So in any case, this was an assignment of contract deal. It came across my desk in an email. I contacted the wholesaler and said I was interested and tried to go to a showing. Now what happened was the showing was canceled, and I kept trying to access that wholesaler to say, hey, I'd like to see the property, maybe put on a bid. And then I was notified that that person had sold it to someone else, or their partner had sold it to someone else, and I didn't have a chance to put an offer. So the way it came to me is I assume I'm on their buyer's list, and a wholesaler will get a property under contract. He sells that contract usually to another buyer. He has a buyer's list that he maintains, and he sends this communication to everyone on his list. So there's kind of an understanding that once it goes out to everyone on the list, it's either a first come, first serve, or you have a way of going to see the property and put in your bid. But, wholesalers run their businesses differently. What I want to touch on is I like to do business with wholesalers that provide clean paper, that communicate well with their buyers, and are looking for relationships. So I'll now talk about the clean paper. When a wholesaler gets a property under contract and then assigns that contract, it is the contract that they're selling. And a lot of people who buy deals from wholesalers will purchase it without ever seeing the contract, the underlying contract. And some wholesalers are nervous or skeptical or hesitant, whatever, to provide that underlying contract. But that is in fact what you're buying. I support the theory that you let your buyers of your assignments see the contract. If necessary, redact the price, but they're going to see it at closing anyway, so it doesn't matter. It'll show up on the settlement statement. But if you're going to be buying the rights to a contract and your wholesaler, for example, is using what's called the TREC contract, which is the Texas Real Estate Commission's contract. It is the promulgated standard contract for use in real estate single family transactions. In this case, the single family transactions. It is safe for both sides. It's dealt with a lot of the possibilities and contingencies, and they're spelled out. That contract is 11 pages long. So when you buy the rights to a contract, you're also buying the obligations under that contract. I think it's extremely prudent to see the contract before you purchase the rights and responsibilities to that contract for thousands of dollars. I'll get back to that later. So anyway, this particular property, it's in Dallas 75227. There was no showing. I kept trying to get in touch with the wholesaler to arrange a showing, only to get a text to say they had sold it to someone else, even though I have been extremely diligent about getting in touch with the wholesaler. Well, fast forward to 2 days ago, I get a call from another person on that wholesaler's team that said the buyer that they sold the contract to could not perform. What that means is either they didn't have enough money to bring to the table to close, or they tried to use financing that wasn't able to close on the property. And many investors use something called hard money loans, hard money lending. I'm not going to go into that right now, but it's a very fast way. It's like buying with cash For the purposes of writing a contract, it is cash. It doesn't need what's called a third-party financing addendum to use hard money to purchase a property, but more on that later. So their buyer didn't perform. I was called, I assume along with other buyers, hey, can you step in and perform? We need a quick close. And I said, sure, I'd like to consider it. I haven't seen the property. May I go see it? So I drove down and looked at it, got in contact with the wholesaler, was trying to negotiate, and asked for the underlying contract as well as a copy of the assignment. I like to look at things before I sign them. I like to read them thoroughly and ask any questions before it is time to sign. At first, this wholesaler was hesitant to give me the underlying contract. He said, well, I don't like to do that, but I think it's prudent. Again, it is extremely prudent to make sure you know what obligations and what rights you are paying for before you sign on the dotted line. I can't stress that enough, but again, I won't belabor that point too much more right now. So I was waiting to get this underlying contract and the assignment of contract. And then I get a text the next day from the person who had reached out to me and said, we decided to go with another offer. Perhaps you'd like to stand in as a backup if this doesn't perform. And my answer to that was absolutely not. One, they never delivered on what they said they would, which is to give me the underlying contract and the assignment. He did agree to do that, and I was fine with them redacting the price, which means hiding the price. I want to see all of the other terms and conditions of that contract, of which there are many, for 11 pages of a contract. So now this person has pretty much torn a relationship with me. I'm always looking to build relationships. I'm not just looking for a one and done transaction, but I will stop any further development of a relationship if I don't feel there's integrity on both sides. I've actually been burned, severely burned, and I will discuss that later, not now. But that contractor has basically destroyed any chance of doing business with me. I won't mention their names. I'm sure they'll do business with other people. In the beginning, I thought it was the start of something interesting, but now I understand that they have now twice sold that contract without giving me a chance to put forth my bid and not even providing the information. Now, another side could be that perhaps this other buyer did not require to see the contract, didn't ask to see anything beforehand, and offered a higher price higher than what I was offering on the property. That's entirely possible. But he did say he would send me the information, and I didn't get it. And then it was sold without an opportunity for me to look at the contract and decide if I wanted to pay more than the original price we were discussing when I hadn't seen anything. Because here is something I believe to be true. If I am paying for a document that gives me certain rights and obligations, I want to make sure that contract is written well. And one of the items of concern that I had in discussing with the wholesaler is that they had not gotten a seller's disclosure. And his explanation, the wholesaler's explanation was, well, I was going to go in there and fix the property, so I don't need the seller's disclosure. However, once he decided to sell that contract to someone else, he is selling the rights and the obligations to someone else who might not feel the same way about that property, who might have a problem with the lack of disclosure on certain items, and then he has put his seller at risk for having an angry end buyer, be upset with the lack of disclosure. So I don't understand why he would take that risk with his sellers. All it takes is one bad transaction and that wholesaler's reputation is ruined. But I can't deal with other people's way of conducting business. I try to conduct business in as transparent a way as possible and with full disclosure and with integrity, but what other people choose to do, I can't control. I can only control what I can do. So that is why I didn't buy that property. I don't know if down the road this wholesaler and I will be able to establish a relationship. I think it might be interesting to go ahead and have that conversation just to give him the chance to know how I feel and maybe salvage the relationship, because I'll hear what he has to say. We'll see. Anyway, not to belabor that point too much more, but I'm Julie Pitra. I'm a local area realtor and real estate investor. Hopefully that's given some insight. You know, I would like to answer more questions that people have. So if you have a question, put it in the comments below. And if I see it soon, I'll get to it soon. Whenever I do, I will try to answer, because I really don't know what people want to know. I was surprised that someone was interested in this. So thank you, CW, for the question, and have a great day. Bye.